Let me tell you, if you'd asked anyone in Willow Bend Estates a month ago, they'd have told you life there was about as dull as a beige paint sample. You know the type, perfect lawns, matching mailboxes, not a blade of grass out of place, because the HOA kept everyone in line. At the top of the food chain sat Karen Beaumont, the self-proclaimed sheriff of suburbia. She could sniff out an overgrown weed or an unapproved shade of taupe from 3 blocks away, and she liked it that way. Order, predictability, control, that was her gospel. So when Daniel Hayes rolled up in a beat-up pickup, moved into the corner lot by the forest, and kept to himself, well, you might as well have rung the dinner bell for neighborhood gossip. Daniel was polite, quiet, and just a little bit off-grid, if you know what I mean. Didn't wave back, didn't show up to the monthly HOA bake sale, didn't even ask Karen for the blessed rulebook. He fixed up his place, kept his lawn tight, but there was something about him that didn't fit the Willow Bend mold. That's when the story started. Neighbors whispered about strange growls at night, shadows slipping through the trees. One kid said he saw glowing eyes from the edge of the woods. Another swore something thudded against Daniel's fence at 3 a.m. Karen, of course, brushed it off as small-town drama. Until the night she drove by and caught a glimpse through the slats. Something big, black, and low to the ground, with eyes that flashed green in the dusk. Not a dog, not a coyote, something wilder. The next morning, Karen convened her board like it was a national emergency. She laid out her evidence, the noises, the shadows, her own close encounter, and declared that Daniel was hiding in a legal animal, maybe a panther. The others laughed it off at first, but nobody really wanted to test Karen's resolve. So, they planned a fence inspection, just to see if anything turned up. Daniel wasn't home, which suited them fine. Karen led her little team around the yard, noting every minor offense. Mailbox a little rusty, sidewalk cracked, garden hose uncoiled. But when she reached the back gate, locked tight, that's when she heard it. A slow, rolling growl, deep enough to make the fence vibrate. Her pulse spiked. The others wanted to bail, but Karen, phone in hand, snapped a photo through a gap just as something slammed the boards hard enough to rattle her fillings. That night, she posted her blurry evidence in the HOA Facebook group, and all hell broke loose. 50 comments in an hour. Some folks mocked her, others freaked out. By the next day, Daniel's house was a zoo attraction. Cars slowed. People peeked through fences. Cell phones everywhere. Daniel just came home with his groceries and ignored the circus, but Karen was on the warpath. She dropped a violation notice in his mailbox, slapped on a $500 fine, and marched home feeling like the queen of safety. But 2 nights later, right as Karen was settling into bed with her tea, she heard something on her lawn. Not a raccoon, not a stray cat. Something heavier, moving slow. She peeked out, and there they were. 2 green eyes, watching her from the dark. Then they blinked and disappeared. She didn't sleep a wink. Next morning, Karen was back at it. Another violation letter, this one demanding Daniel attend an emergency hearing. When she went to deliver it, she found his front door cracked open and caught another glimpse of black fur sliding down the hallway. That did it. She called animal control, but they said they'd get to it eventually. Not good enough for Karen. So, she rallied her crew, Pam, Ruth, a couple other bored diehards, and marched over to Daniel's for one more safety check. The air was thick, birds weren't singing, even Pam was hesitant, but Karen had bylaws in one hand, phone in the other, narrating her inspection for posterity. When she forced the gate open, the backyard was a mess of claw marks and torn up dirt. In the shadows of a homemade shelter, a sleek black shape shifted, then stepped into the sun. A panther, in the flesh, bigger than life, muscles rippling, eyes fixed on Karen. Pam screamed. Ruth tripped over her own feet. Karen froze until the animal took a slow, deliberate step toward her. She tried to run, caught her heel, fell, dropped her phone. The panther snarled, guttural, deep, and terrifying. Karen finally slammed the gate, barely catching her breath. The whole thing was caught on video. She sent it everywhere. The HOA board, animal control, even a couple of local bloggers. Within hours, the whole street was in lockdown, rumors flying. Some folks claimed they'd seen Daniel sneaking off into the woods at night. Others swore the animal had roared at dawn. Karen basked in the attention, but Daniel didn't say a word. The blinds stayed drawn, the gate relocked. That night, Karen hosted a packed emergency meeting at her house, replaying her cracked phone footage for everyone. The verdict? Daniel had to go. They'd push for his removal if he didn't surrender the animal. But as the crowd left, the night outside was dead quiet. Too quiet. Karen thought she saw something move by her hedge. Two green glints in the darkness. She locked every window. But by morning, animal control reported nothing. No animal, no prints, nothing but a broken fence. Karen replayed her footage, but it just looked like shaky shadows now. Still, she wouldn't let go. She told herself Daniel was hiding it in the woods. She'd catch him red-handed, no matter what. By then, the whole neighborhood was on edge. Children weren't allowed out. People whispered that maybe Karen had conjured the whole thing. She refused to let that stand, so one afternoon, she set off herself, purse packed, pepper spray in hand, determined to track the animal. She found paw prints near the woods, followed them to a clearing where the grass was matted. Scratch marks everywhere. She crouched to record, but the forest went dead silent. She turned, and there it was, 10 feet away, green eyes locked on hers, poised and watching. Karen did what any sensible suburbanite would do. She ran, crashed through the underbrush, shoes slipping on roots, breath coming in ragged gasps. She could feel it following, not close, just there, watching. She barely made it back to her SUV, heart pounding, hands shaking. That night, she gathered the neighborhood watch for a safety patrol. They crept along the trail behind Daniel's yard, flashlights shaking. Then, someone spotted it. The Panther, crouched low, watching from the other side of the fence. Karen edged closer, phone up, determined to get proof. Suddenly, the animal lunged. The impact cracked a board and sent everyone scrambling, phones flying, shouts echoing into the dark. Karen picked herself up, more furious than afraid. She'd had enough. Tomorrow, she was taking her evidence to the county, straight to the top. But as she left, she didn't notice those green eyes glinting behind the fence, patient and unblinking. That night, the growls and scraping noises kept half the neighborhood up. By morning, the police and animal control were everywhere. But Daniel's yard was empty. No Panther, no evidence, just a busted gate and silence. Karen wouldn't back down. She filed her reports, attached every blurry video she had. Then she heard a scrape at her own gate. The wind was still, trees motionless. She locked her doors. But she didn't sleep. That night, the power flickered, a low hum filled the house, and at the edge of the porch, two green eyes appeared in the darkness. The Panther launched itself at her kitchen. Window, glass shuddering, frame rattling, Karen scrambling backward in terror. Then, just as fast, it slipped away through the open gate, disappearing into the night as the neighborhood exploded in. Chaos, dogs barking, people yelling, flashlights slicing through the darkness. The Panther vanished into the trees, and by sunrise, the street was crawling with reporters and squad cars. No one wanted to talk to Karen now. Daniel Hayes never came back. His house sat empty, rumors swirling that he'd set the animal loose for revenge. Weeks passed, and one morning Karen found a single, deep scratch carved across her front door. The police called it a prank. But Karen knew better. As the sun went down, she stood at her window, staring at the forest's edge, waiting for something to move. Some nights, she swore she could still hear that deep, rolling growl, echoing from the trees, a reminder that some wild things won't be caged, no matter how many rules. You right. And for the first time, Karen Beaumont didn't patrol, didn't boss, didn't meddle. She just waited, eyes closed, for a peace that never really came. So tell me, where do you draw the line? Between safety and control, between protecting your neighborhood and chasing your own shadow? Who was right here, Karen or Daniel? Drop your thoughts below, because I guarantee this debate's just getting started.